I have had the great honor of spending hours and hours and hours, and you've covered my negotiating the debt limit and other things with the leaders of the Republican Party. A lot of those new members who came here with my way or the highway, they'll either be on the highway or they'll learn that they have to have compromise. We're going to lay down not a hard negotiating position, but let's make sure each of us understand where the other guy's coming from.
All right, that was Vice President Joe Biden back in the day acknowledging the importance of negotiating when it comes to things like the debt ceiling. And yet, fast forward to today, he's refusing to do just that. Meanwhile, our nation blew past its debt ceiling, forcing the Treasury Department to start taking extraordinary measures so that the government can pay its bills. By the way, the debt ceiling is currently at $31.4 trillion. Joining us now in this high-stakes showdown is the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, who, by the way, is meeting with President Biden on Wednesday. Mr. Speaker, thanks for joining us.
John and Lindsay, thanks for having me back on your show. It's an honor for me.
Well, it's an honor for us. Mr. Speaker, I do want to talk to you about the debt ceiling, as Sean mentioned, and removing Ilhan Omar from her committee. But first, I do want to get your thoughts on this because over 40 of your colleagues in the House signed a letter to AT&T and DirecTV requesting to know why conservative outlets like ourselves, like Newsmax, are being removed from their lineup. Do you share their concern?
Yes, and I've conveyed that personally as well to AT&T and others. Newsmax should not be treated any differently based upon them being a conservative news outlet. And this is very concerning to me, and I hope we get this corrected so everybody out there, especially on DirecTV, can have the choice in programming and especially have the choice when it comes to get their news. Because as I travel across the country, can't tell you the number of people who tell me they watch Newsmax and like what they're hearing and want to have the choice to see it.
Well, that's awesome. But I just want to follow up on that because in the letter that your colleagues sent to these executives, they say that they're going to conduct extensive oversight on the matter. So are you aware right now of any hearings or other site activities that are being planned by House Republicans into this matter?
Well, we haven't been able to put all of our committees together yet. We've had a number of them. We'll get the rest of them this week, and then they could get up and running. The Democrats still are finishing naming off who will be on their side of the committees as well. But you're going to see action taken because we believe it's responsible to allow everybody to have choice of what news they can want to listen to, what they want to hear. It really comes down to a free speech matter, and they should not utilize that, and Newsmax should never be punished simply because they're a conservative news outlet.
Oh, that's great to hear. I do want to turn to this debt ceiling because you are meeting with President Biden on Wednesday. You heard the clip of him in 2011 talking about how important it is that the sides come together and listen to each other. But here's the thing that's interesting this time. Democrats are the ones who have said that their position is to raise the debt ceiling without any conditions, to keep spending, to keep growing government. But they're saying, all right, Republicans, if you want to put spending reforms in place, you should lay out the plan where you want the cuts, how you want to reform government, how you want to shrink it out. So what is your plan going forward when you meet with the president? Are you willing to lay out some of those areas in government where we can cut?
Look, our government is designed to have compromise. But the first thing we're supposed to have is to really have a balanced budget. I mean, if you had a child and you provided them a credit card and they hit their spending limit, you're responsible for what they spent. But would you just raise the limit, or would you first look at what are you spending on? Does anyone believe that there is not waste in government? Does anyone believe there's no place that we could find savings? I mean, think about what just transpired 1 month ago, that 2 senators who are no longer here drew a bill for $1.7 trillion that didn't go through committee, that jammed the members right before Christmas and told them they had to vote for this. Well, the Senate, Schumer, he never produces a real budget. He doesn't make the appropriations committees actually do their work. I believe there's a lot of places we could find savings. And government is designed to find compromise. The president, when he was vice president, he bragged about this. So no, we're not just going to raise the debt ceiling without finding ways that we can change our behavior. We're now at 120% of GDP. We've only been here in World War II. That means our debt is now larger than our economy. That harms a future generation. If you continue down this path, just the interest on our debt would become our largest payment.
So, Mr. Speaker, I agree with you 100%. Why not, though, put a list of a starting point and say, okay, here's 15 things that we could do. Everything from cutting NPR to, I don't care, but just come up with a list and say, all right, Mr. President, you asked for a list. Your party asked for a list. Here's 50 things we can do. These shouldn't even be controversial with $31.4 million debt ceiling and trillions of dollars in spending. But why not start the conversation
Sean,
with, here's... Go ahead,
John, I have much more than 15 there, but I just don't think it's the place that I negotiate in the press when the president's sitting there saying he doesn't want to negotiate. I want to be respectful. I believe in having something responsible, but I'm going to sit down with the president. I'm going to say, let's talk about this. I can lay out a lot of different places that we become more efficient in. And if the president wants to defend the place where he doesn't want to negotiate and he thinks someone should just raise this limit and he doesn't believe there's any waste in government, I think he's the only person in America that thinks that way. But I would like to sit down, find common ground, and put us on a path to balance so we don't harm the future generation of America and we make ourselves stronger.
All right, well, we hope to check back in with you after that meeting on Wednesday. I do want to turn to committee assignments because last week you removed Democrats Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell from the Intel Committee, got a lot of attention for that, which obviously you have the power to do because it's a select committee. And you're going to hold a vote to kick Ilhan Omar off of the Foreign Affairs Committee, which is subject to a vote to the whole House. You have 3 Republicans now who have said that they are going to vote no on that, and we know that Congressman Stubbe is out with medical reasons. It seems like there might be a math problem here. So what is the plan moving forward?
Well, I think people have to look at this. We're not like Democrats. We're not removing them from their entire committees. They can serve on different committees, but what we're talking about is foreign affairs. And remember when you're talking about foreign affairs, what did Congresswoman Omar say? She said on 9/11, something happened that day. She equated the U.S. military to the equal to Hamas and the Taliban. She questioned that Americans only like Israel because it's all about the Benjamins. You know, the difference here is, I think when you look to foreign countries and they're looking what happens in foreign affairs and you think about the classified briefing she gets, the damage that can be caused, I believe it's probably a better place for her to serve on other committees. It's not about her policies, but from the standpoint of where America is moving forward. And yeah, we have a little issue with a couple people out, but we'll get the job done.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I really appreciate you being with us tonight. And as Lindsay said, I look forward to checking back in with you because I agree with you. Start the conversation, but we got a lot of government to cut and reform. So thank you for your efforts. Look forward to checking back in with you, and I appreciate you being with us tonight.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back on your show.